So thank you all for coming. My name is Ray Roskos, spelled R-A-Y-R-O-S-K-O-S. I'm a field service director, and I work with the Cahokia Federation of Teachers.
And I'm Wendy Lockman, L-O-C-H-M-A-N-N, and I am the president of the Cahokia Federation of Teachers.
So I want to welcome our guests, labor leaders from other locals that are here. Really want to welcome our members. Thank you for being here. State members from Local 1272.
We also have other labor unions in the House, other labor leaders. So we're all so very happy that you would join us today. We want to first talk a little bit about 1272. We represent almost 400 members, certified staff, secretaries, and service employees. And we have been working without a contract for more than 7 months. We have, it's been a tough contract bargaining cycle. And that's not exactly, though, why we're here. We're not going to talk about negotiations today.
What we're here to talk about is the financial failures and oversight failures of School District 187 in Cahokia. But before we get into our 4 buckets of information that we're going to talk about, we want to give a kind of a family tree, so to speak, of the players that are involved in Cahokia Heights Township and the school district.
So for context, the mayor of Cahokia Heights, Curtis McCall Sr., is the father of the district superintendent, Curtis McCall Jr. The director of human resources is Stephanie Skurlark-Belt, and she is the sister-in-law of the mayor, and the superintendent is her nephew. And finally, Assistant Superintendent Arnett Harvey is the husband of our CFO, Sierra Corley.
There are many more family connections throughout the district, but we wanted to highlight the top level administrators in the district to give context to things we're going to talk about today. So before we get into the 4 buckets that we talked about, where's the information coming from that we're going to provide today? So first, Wendy and I and the local receive tips pretty much on a daily basis from community members, from employees, from administrators, and it's all from insiders. So what we do is we filter those tips and we look at credible tips. And what we've done is we've sent many Freedom of Information Act requests to the district to determine if what we believe is credible is actually true. We've received things like payroll records, benefit records, formal responses from the superintendent, both in responses to the FOIA and responses that there were no product to produce from the FOIA request. We have a full document, full packet for each press member here today. There's also a 200-page document that the superintendent sent, and we'll talk about that later. The press is welcome to look at it, and we can also send it, but it really contains zero information that we requested.
So let's go ahead, and we're going to start with the first big grouping of things that we wanted to bring to some attention to. It's employment payroll check registers for 4 employees that the district couldn't provide information related to FOIA requests. So the FOIA was sent January 8th, and it was fulfilled on February 2nd by Superintendent McCall. He is their Freedom of Information Officer. And we requested information on 4 employees: Leonard Manley, Stephen Brown, Minnie Taylor, and Arnett Harvey. And we requested that information for fiscal year 24, 25, and 26. We asked for things like their weekly timesheets, their payroll stubs, and any payroll records. We asked for any and all employment contracts that they might have, agreements, amendments, addenda between the individuals and District 187. We asked for salary information for each, including their base salary and any and all other bonuses, reimbursements, allowances, or supplemental payments.
We asked for daily fob key card access reports, which include the date, the time, and access location. For those of you that don't know what fob reports are, each employee has a key card that they swipe in and out of the buildings. That allows them into the building and then out of the building. So if you are actually working for Cahokia School District 187, you have to swipe in and out of the building.
And then in addition to that, employees are also expected to use something called True Time. So we ask for those reports. That consists of going to your desktop computer, or there are some stations throughout the buildings and you're supposed to log in formally. So we ask for those reports as well.
We ask for daily schedules of hours worked, reporting and ending time. We ask for things like office assignment, workstation or building assignment. We ask for district email login timestamps to show that an employee was in the email system. We ask for any and all remote work requests, whether they were denied or approved. And the last thing we ask for is any and all emails assigning work or completing work to or from the individuals listed above for the 4 employees that Wendy mentioned.
So the only documents provided in Mr. McCall's response were 7 pages of check transactions. So we did not get exemptions under Section 7. We didn't get redactions to comply with the law. We didn't, if some document isn't given, it's basically admitting that they don't exist or that they have it and they're not turning it over, which would be breaking the law.
At the February 9th bargaining session, which was held here at our office, I specifically asked Superintendent McCall about the 11 things that we just highlighted. He could not provide any answer why we didn't receive any document for the 4 employees listed, other than I wasn't given any, I wasn't given any, I wasn't given any. That's his response to my questions. At that point, the attorney for the district said, he's answered your questions, we need to move on. So we're going to get into these 4 employees and what the payroll records that the press has in their possession, what these payroll records prove. And we're going to go through each employee and talk through what the payroll sheet says.
So the first employee is Leonard Manley. And for fiscal year 24, his salary was $47,386. Fiscal year 25, he made $44,734. He was the assistant athletic director.
For Leonard Manley, in the FOIA request, there was not a single timesheet provided. Not a single employee contract, not a single badge swipe in or out of any building in District 187 for 2 fiscal years. Not a single clock reading in or out of the building. Not a single true time report. No schedule of hours worked, no office assignment or building location, no request to work from home, not a single email to or from Leonard Manley or any work product whatsoever provided by the FOIA officer, Superintendent Curtis McCall Jr.
There were no exemptions made under Section 7, no redactions to comply with the law. If the document is not given, it's the district admitting they either don't exist or they are breaking FOIA law. So how was Leonard Manley paid for 2 full years, close to $92,000 from taxpayer funds, yet we do not have a single document showing he performed 1 hour of work in 2 years?
The next question I would ask is, did Leonard Manley perform any work for his $92,123 in the 2 years he was paid with taxpayer funds?
The next employee we'll discuss is Stephen Brown. For fiscal year 24, he earned $37,462. Fiscal year 25, $41,780, and fiscal year 26, $41,780 as an attendance officer. In May of 2021, he became the chief of police in Cahokia Heights. He served in that role until May of 2025.
Was full-time chief of police for Cahokia Heights. While he was the full-time chief of police for Cahokia Heights, he was being paid $72,242 by Cahokia School District 187 as an attendance officer assigned to the board building, doing both jobs simultaneously.
Not a single timesheet, no employment contract, not a single badge swipe in or out of a building for 3 fiscal years, not a single clock in or out, no true time reports, no schedule of hours worked, no request to work remote, not a single email to or from, or any work product whatsoever, not a single attendance report provided by the FOIA officer, Superintendent McCall, in our FOIA request on Stephen Brown.
The district did not provide any exemptions under Section 7 for Stephen Brown, no redactions to comply with. If the documents weren't provided, it's the district Superintendent Curtis McCall Jr. admitting that the documents don't exist.
How is Stephen Brown paid for 3 full years, $121,022 from taxpayer funds, yet he doesn't have a single document showing he performed 1 hour of work?
Did Stephen Brown perform any work for the $121,000 in 3 years he was paid with taxpayer funds?
How did Stephen Brown work as the full-time chief of police for the city of Cahokia Heights and work for CUSD 187, earning $121,022?
We will be requesting additional years of information for Stephen Brown under the FOIA law.
Next employee, Minnie Taylor, mother of Stephanie Belt. She was the student attendance retention coordinator. Fiscal year 24 salary, $36,347. Fiscal year 25, $38,017. Fiscal year 26, they stopped paying her in August of 25.
Not one single timesheet, no employment contract, not a single badge swipe in or out of any building in CUSD 187 for 2 fiscal years. Not a single clock in or clock out. Not a single true time report. No schedule of hours worked. No request to work remotely. Not a single email from Minnie Taylor or to Minnie Taylor, and 0 work product whatsoever. No office assignment or building location provided by the FOIA officer, Superintendent Curtis McCall Jr.
No exemptions under Section 7, no redactions to comply with law. If the document is not given, it's the district admitting they either do not exist or they broke FOIA law. So how did Minnie Taylor be paid for 2 years? $80,700 from taxpayer funds. Yet she doesn't have a single document showing she performed 1 hour of work.
Did Minnie Taylor perform any work for the $80,000 in 2+ years she was paid with taxpayer funds?
Why hasn't her daughter, Director of Human Resources, Stephanie Belt, provide a single document to show she wasn't a no-show ghost employee?
We have requested prior years of information on Minnie Taylor because she's worked for the district for a number of years prior to the information that we received.
The last person we will discuss is Arnett Harvey, Assistant Superintendent, fiscal year 24 salary, $203,061. Fiscal year 25, $218,376. And fiscal year 26, $218,376. His wife is the Chief Financial Officer for the district, Sierra Corley. Fiscal year salary 24, $125,547. Fiscal year 25, $139,246, and her salary for 26 is unknown.
Arnett Harvey, as the assistant superintendent of the school district, did not have a single timesheet, not a single. We received his employment contract, which is in the packet, not a single badge swipe in or out of a building for over 2+ fiscal years, not a single clock in or clock out, no true time report, no schedule of hours worked, no request to work remote, not a single email to or from assistant superintendent Harvey. No work product whatsoever. Assistant superintendent Harvey in the district catalog doesn't even have a phone extension. He doesn't have an office in District 187. How does an assistant superintendent in a school district in the state of Illinois not have an office or a phone extension?
There were no exemptions under Section 7 given, no redactions to comply with the law. If the document is not given, it's the district admitting the document doesn't exist, or they are breaking FOIA law. Want to do that one?
How was Arnett Harvey, the assistant superintendent of District 187, paid for his legally contracted rate for 3 years, $639,813 from taxpayer funds, yet he doesn't have a single document, not one single document, showing he performed 1 hour of work in District 187?
Did Arnett Harvey perform any work for the $639,813 in the 3 years he was paid with taxpayer funds?
Why hasn't his wife, Chief Financial Officer for District 187, Sierra Corley, provided a single document under our FOIA request to show that her husband, the assistant superintendent, Arnett Harvey, wasn't a no-show ghost employee?
We have requested prior years 19 through 23 of information for Arnett Harvey.
If you request the same exact information for any one of these members standing behind me,
Yes.
or Wendy standing next to me,
Yes.
you would have a plethora of documents to show not only
Yes.
did they get paid by District 187, but they actually performed work day in and day out. There would be FOB reports, pages and pages of FOB reports, because the district uses them against my people. There would be true time logins each and every day. There would be timesheets, emails, office and room assignments, and tons of work product from every person in this room that works in District 187.
So absent any records, other than paychecks, the only plausible explanation is these employees were paid without performing work. So that concludes the first bucket of things that we'd like to talk about. The second thing we would like to speak about is Medicare supplement payments made with taxpayer funds for employee Minnie Taylor.
As you know, Minnie Taylor is the mother of Stephanie Belt, the HR director. On January 8th, 2026, I sent a FOIA requesting the following information: all United Healthcare supplement insurance and personal health account statements, forms addressed to Minnie Taylor for the past 5 years.
Any and all payments made to United Healthcare on behalf of Minnie Taylor using district funds for the past 5 years, including the amount paid, the date of payment, any and all approval authority, authorization documents or approvals required and or used to approve each payment. And we asked any and all records of payments made to United Healthcare on behalf of Minnie Taylor.
So what did Superintendent McCall as the FOIA officer provide pursuant to my FOIA request? He provided the 207 pages of nonsense that's sitting on that desk. Not a single document in there is pursuant to anything I asked for. not a single page of 207 pages that has anything to do with the FOIA request. The press is welcome to leave their contact information with Kevin, and I can email you that document.
But we have the documents that we did ask for. They were given to us by a whistleblower. So would you like to talk about those?
Yeah, so I'm only going to provide two, and I provided two in the packet. So these are two of the documents that we're talking about. These are the Medicare supplement payments that were sent to Minnie Taylor's home in East St. Louis. They list her name, her address. They have her member ID number. They list the balance for August 2025. They list the check payment. They list the balance due, current premiums. But the important part, there's two important parts of this document that I want everyone to pay close attention to. The first part of is in the bottom, right where my finger is. This is the director of HR, Stephanie Belt's stamp that she uses in her office. It says approved HR director. It also has her initials approving the payment of her mother's Medicare payments through district funds. In addition to that, the second thing I want to point out is it's handwritten. It says paid 8/7/25, and it lists a check number. Check number 019655. That is a check number from Cahokia Unit School District 187 paying for the Medicare supplement payments of the HR director, Stephanie Belt, her mother, Minnie Taylor.
On February 25th, we made a new FOIA request for the Medicare documents we know exist, but not provided by Superintendent McCall. So this is a copy of this, and it's also in the packets for the media. And what did we request? Well, the complete copy of the AARP supplemental and personal health bill statement issued by United Healthcare in the name of Minnie Pearl Taylor, going to her East St. Louis address. We asked for any and all copies of this document maintained by the district, whether it was paper or electronic. Any records showing district involvement with this billing statement, including but not limited to proof of payment, image of the check, authorization or approval records, accounting ledger entries or check numbers, emails or correspondence referencing this statement, a complete copy of the supplemental and personal health care billing statements.
Yep.
Proof of the payment, the check, the ACH, the wire transfers, the reimbursement for each month and time frame listed, image of checks for each month of payment or any other payment, authorization or approval records for each month's payments for the years listed above, accounting ledger entries for each month's check numbers, any memos associated with each month's payment, emails or correspondence referencing each statement or the charges reflected therein for the time frame listed above, and all vendor payments related to this. So why didn't the Board of Education discuss this at all?
Why didn't they debate and vote on an employment contract between them and Minnie Taylor if they wanted to pay her Medicare supplement payments?
How long has Stephanie Belt approved her mother's Medicare bills and paid out of District 187 taxpayer funds?
What else did Stephanie Belt approve to be paid out of District 187 taxpayer funds for her mother, Minnie Taylor?
Were any federal funds under the Century 21st grant used to pay for personal expenses for Minnie Taylor, approved by her daughter, Stephanie Belt?
Who else in upper level administration knew this was happening?
Who else approved these personal transactions be paid out of District 187 taxpayer funds?
The big question I have is, why didn't Superintendent McCall, as the FOIA officer, turn over every document that he has pertaining to Minnie Taylor's Medicare supplement health payments? And we believe there are many more documents than the ones we have.
Under what authority were Medicare payments made outside the district's insurance program?
So whether he gives us the documents or not in our new FOIA request, the documents do exist. The transactions exist. Bank records for the transactions exist. United Healthcare sent the documents and received payment from District 187. Electronic records will show a full picture does exist. Turn over every single document and approval authority so that a full and complete investigation can be done into the misappropriation of taxpayer funds concerning Medicare payments for Minnie Taylor.
What else did we ask for concerning Minnie Taylor and her daughter Stephanie Belt? We had an initial FOIA on February 2nd that we're not going to read through. We have copies of it, but we were asked to narrow the scope, that it was too large. So on the 3rd of February, we sent another new FOIA.
And in that FOIA, narrowing the scope, I asked for all email communication, provide any and all incoming and outgoing emails, including attachments for the 22-23, 23-24, and 24-25 school year as follows. Emails to or from Curtis McCall Jr., Tanya Mitchell, and or Stephanie Belt containing any of the following keywords: Medicare supplement or Minnie Taylor, and any and all emails between Stephanie Belt and her direct subordinate report, Minnie Taylor.
So because we have sent so many of these, Ray personally has sent so many of these on our behalf, he has been categorized as a recurrent requester, and we now have to wait 21 business days to respond versus 5 business days.
In addition to being a recurrent requester, which I am, we are prepared to challenge each and every FOIA where we know the records exist and McCall hasn't provided them through the FOIA appeal process with a public access counselor within the Attorney General's office of Illinois.
Say that.
Okay, so we'll move on to another bucket. Okay, so this is payroll and leave irregularities for Assistant Superintendent Arnett Harvey.
So each year, the union requests contracts of administrators, and we get those contracts through our normal information request process. And we've requested and received his contracts, the deputy superintendent's contracts, the superintendent's contracts, and it shows their salary. It shows things like vacation days. It shows things like sick leave. It shows a lot of different things. When we were provided his current contract, the assistant superintendent, Annette Harvey, is provided by the Board of Education 100 vacation days per year, per calendar year, as long as he works for the district. To put that into context, the school year for students is 176 days. So Superintendent Harvey is potentially off just for vacation for 57% of the time.
That's in addition to sick leave that he gets, personal leave, and his $218,000 salary.
Oh my God.
So what other school employee, I know none of these people get 100 vacation days. As a matter of fact, they're questioned on every sick leave day they take by the superintendent. In addition to that, in the state of Illinois, what other school employee gets 100 vacation days? Or for that matter, in this country, what other school employee gets 100 vacation days?
We have requested additional information around vacation days for Arnett Harvey. So we're requesting a more detailed check transaction list, a Skyward report for July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2023. His vacation requests, approvals with days taken for the last 5 years. And
That's it.
that's it on that one.
So the reason we're requesting that is in his contract, he has to receive permission from the board president in order to take 5 vacation days. So what we want to know is Assistant Superintendent Harvey taking his vacation days, or is he using his vacation days for other things? We want to know in the last 3 years, how many days he's taken, if days were approved, and what is his current balance of vacation days?
We also want to talk about another FOIA finding. In the February 2nd, 2026 FOIA, we talked about it earlier, and we provided some payroll data. So if you will recall, his base salary for fiscal year 24 was $203,061.
So the FOIA, the response is going to look like this. And what it is a check registry for the 4 employees that we requested. Stephen Brown, Minnie Taylor, Arnett Harvey, and Leonard Manley. It lists month by month their payroll paychecks for the 2.5 fiscal years that we have. And we want to talk and focus specifically on Assistant Superintendent Harvey. And I want you to pay attention to the numbers we're going to read.
So in addition to his monthly payroll of $16,921.82 for fiscal year 24, he received the following. On July 3rd, 2023, a gross check in the amount of $113,741.58. But the net was $9,806.57. TRS paid on the full gross, and TRS is the Teacher Retirement System, the pension system for certified teachers in Illinois. Federal and state taxes were paid on the gross, so it's credible earnings under, the pension system. What is this huge payroll check for? And where did the other $103,908 go between the gross and the net?
On 10/4 of 23, he received, in addition to his regular payroll check, a check of $81,224.70. The net on that check was only $6,709.70. TRS was paid on the full gross. Federal and state taxes were paid on the gross. It's credible earnings under the pension system. Again, what is this huge payroll check for in addition to his regular payroll? And where did the other $74,515 go?
Then again, on January 25th of 2024, Mr. Harvey grossed $113,741.58. His net, that paycheck was $20,000 even. TRS paid on the full gross, Fed and state taxes paid on the gross, so it is credible earnings under the pension system. What is the huge payroll check for? And where did the other $93,714.58 go?
On 5/24 of 24, he received, in addition to his regular payroll check, another check of $97,469.64 with a net of only $5,000. TRS paid on the full gross, federal and state taxes paid on the gross. So this is credible earnings under the pension system. I'll ask it again. What is this huge payroll check for? And where did the other $92,469.64 go?
In addition to his $203,061.74 yearly salary by contract, Harvey made an additional $615,985.24 on the backs of taxpayers through public funds. No other employment contract, no discussion by the board, no vote to pay him this huge sum of money. We asked for the documents, and McCall, through his response, say they don't exist.
So some questions I have. Who authorized this? How does the board justify an additional $615,000 paid to him?
How is this in the best interest of our student?
Why didn't his wife, the CFO, why didn't she report this to the Board of Education in her monthly reports?
Who all knew these payments were being made?
And the big question is, who else is being paid like this in District 187? And that is just the first fiscal year that we have.
Oh, no. So let's move into fiscal year 25 with a base salary now of $218,376. And this will be again according to McCall's information provided via FOIA.
In addition to his monthly payroll of now $18,198 for fiscal year 25, he received the following. On 8/16 of 2024, a gross check of $123,775.88, but only a net of $3,612.52. TRS paid on the full gross. Federal and state taxes paid on the gross. It's credible earnings under the pension system. As we've asked before, what is this huge payroll check for? And where did the other $120,163.36 go in the difference between gross and net?
Then again, January 9th of 2025, there was a gross check of $106,093.61, but a net of only $2,303.62. TRS paid on the full gross federal and state taxes, or state and federal taxes were paid on the gross. It's credible earnings under the pension system. What is this huge payroll check for? And where did the other $103,789.99 go? The difference between the gross and the net.
In addition to his $218,376 yearly salary by contract, Assistant Superintendent Harvey made an additional $229,869.49 on the backs of taxpayers through public funds. No other employment contract provided by the superintendent, no discussion by the Board of Education, no vote to pay him this huge sum of money. We asked for the documents, and McCall, through his response, say they do not exist.
Our questions include, who authorized this? Why did his wife, the CFO, not report this to the Board of Education in any of her monthly reports?
How does the Board of Education justify these huge payroll checks to the assistant superintendent?
How does this benefit the students of District 187?
Which top-level administrators knew Assistant Superintendent Harvey was being paid these additional sums of money?
Who else is being paid like this?
So now we move into fiscal year 26. Yes, we're not done. We're only halfway through the year. In fiscal year 26, by contract, Assistant Superintendent Harvey was supposed to make $218,376. The following information was provided through the FOIA request by the FOIA officer, Superintendent Curtis McCall Jr. In addition to his monthly payroll of $18,198 for fiscal year 26, Harvey received the following. On 8/7/25, a gross check of $142,237.25. The net on that check was $8,005.13. TRS paid on the full gross, federal and state taxes taken out, like a payroll check. The gross is credible earnings under the pension system. Again, what is the huge payroll check for? where did the other $134,232.12 go between the difference of gross and net?
Then again, on December 19th, 2025, that would have been the last day that we all worked for Christmas break, he received $125,986.50 gross. His net was $2,363.97. TRS was paid on the full gross. Fed and state taxes were paid on the gross. So it is credible earnings under the pension system. What is this huge payroll check for? And where did the other $123,922.53 go? The difference between the gross and the net.
Go ahead.
In addition to his $218,376 yearly salary by contract, Arnett Harvey made an additional $268,223.75 so far this fiscal year on the backs of taxpayers through public funds. No other employment contract, no discussion by the board, no vote to pay him this huge sum of money. We asked for the documents and McCall, through his response, say they don't exist. So who authorized this?
Why didn't his wife, the chief financial officer of District 187, report these anomalies to the Board of Education through her monthly report as the CFO?
Who knew these payments were being made?
Who else is being paid just like he is in District 187? All in all, in 2.5 fiscal years, Harvey was paid an additional $911,016.74. The net of that $900,000 was only $57,501.51. So why the huge difference between gross and net in the payments to Harvey? The difference is $853,023. Where did that money go? In addition to, and we've talked a lot about TRS, right? TRS paid on this. The district pays close to 10% on the full credible earnings. So the district paid well over $100,000 with a credible earnings factor of the $900,000 in addition to his $900,000 that he received in additional pay.
One of the things that was not lost on us is that our district, during our bargaining process, seeks to eliminate an article in our contract called favored nations. Favored nations creates a balance between the wages of certified administration and certified staff members.
What it does is it limits the amount of raises a certified administrator can get, and it can only be as great as the amount of my certified union members get. So any additional money that is paid to in raise form a certified administrator under favored nations, if we file a grievance, every one of my certified staff members, if we win that case, get that same percentage increase. So we're announcing today that we will be filing a favored nations grievance.
Yes.
We will be filing a favored nations grievance so that my members, each and every member, certified member, we will be asking for a 208% increase. Just like Superintendent Harvey received in fiscal year 24.
This superintendent says he is doing what is in the best interest of our students.
Right.
Yet he creates positions for family and friends and political allies. All the things you heard today, this super does what's in the best interest of him and his.
The public deserves to know where their taxpayer funds are going. The students and the community of Cahokia deserve better than what they're receiving from the
Considering the district can't produce basic employment documentation, payments made without supporting records, absence of internal accountability mechanisms, we are demanding the following actions be taken. A preservation of all records.
The Board of Education immediately place Superintendent McCall, Deputy Superintendent Mitchell, Assistant Superintendent Harvey, HR Director Stephanie Belt, and CFO Sierra Corley on administrative leave. Place them on administrative leave pending a full and complete investigation.
We are asking the Board of Education to hire an outside law firm to conduct a full and complete investigation. We would like them to hire an outside accounting firm to do a full and complete forensic audit into the financial.
We're also asking that the teachers' retirement system do a complete audit. That they do a complete audit of salary and credible earnings of not only Arnett Harvey, but every employee being paid by District 187.
Yeah. In addition, we are asking the following. Legislators in our area demand a full and complete investigation. We call on Jim Gomrick, State's Attorney for St. Clair County, to open an investigation into these issues presented today. We call on Kwame Raoul, Attorney General of Illinois, to open an investigation into these issues presented today.
Lastly, we call on Stephen Weinhoff, Interim U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Illinois, to open an investigation into these issues presented today.
So now we'd like to make some closing statements.
Sure.
You want to talk about this first?
So, public money requires public proof. The district confirms the money went out and cannot show how the work was done.
We also began our bargaining cycle way back at the beginning of summer, asking for some pretty basic things for our students. And I think it's important to highlight what our union really wants for our students. We asked our board to work with us more closely to help stop the dramatic turnover of staff in our district. We are no longer attracting staff the way that we should. We are losing staff. So, I mean, it's a terrible cycle. And we advocated for a more competitive package that would bring quality people to our school district to work with our students. We asked our board to stand with us and establish a healthy school environment where staff could actually utilize contractual sick leave to take care of their health and not be burdened with providing all sorts of documentation. We asked for things like planning time and limiting class sizes, particularly for younger groups, critical ages where students are learning to read and write. We asked for supports in the form of education teachers for our students. We asked for speech pathologists. We wanted a pathway for more social workers and nurses and counselors to better support our students. And I'm reading right from the document that I shared with them. We asked for early administrative intervention when we had students who needed those supports to create a more stable learning environment for everyone. We proposed school libraries and librarians in the school buildings that didn't have them. We ask for manageable workloads, especially for special ed teachers who have to take on additional IEPs and
Come
caseloads.
on here.
And you guys, we wanted to have conversations about enrichment classes for our students, more opportunities, more sports programs, more extracurricular clubs, advanced placement courses, the things that children get in all of the school districts around us. We wanted
This is a document, it's in the press packet that we provided with each group bargaining. We read this to them initially. The district did, in all of the bargaining sessions that we had, they never responded to this once. They never said yes, they never said no. What did they do? The record shows what they did. They paid people that weren't working. They paid people huge sums of money. That's what they did. That's where this board and this administration's priorities are. Not with the students, not with the community. He likes to say, I'm here for the students, and I do what's in the best interest of the students. That is a joke. So I want to thank all the members here. You guys are great. You're professionals. Wendy and I couldn't do this without you. You're why we do what we do. And we're going to keep fighting for fairness, for equity in District 187, for the school and the community your students deserve. So with that, if anyone has any questions, we'll be more than happy to try and answer them.
Can you explain the difference, just for those of us who understand net versus gross, and why those are different, what it could possibly mean?
So I'm not sure what it could mean. All I know is, like, in my regular paycheck, my net and my gross isn't too far off. When I look at my paycheck, the taxes come out, federal income tax, state income tax, Medicare comes out of my check. But if my regular payroll was 124,000, my net would not be 5,000. So that's why we're asking the question, where did that money go?
So he's only getting 5,000.
Yep. And if you look at the documents that we gave you, it lists an ACH, which is an automatic debit where that money's going. And my understanding of that is that net is what's going into that bank account that's listed.
If I'm not mistaken, McCall Jr. would have been appointed superintendent probably around the start of fiscal year 2024, which is when these start happening for.
I think it was 23.
He was summer of 23. He was appointed, and his contract is in the back of your packet, and it lists the board voting on him being superintendent, and I believe it was in the summer of 23. So it would have been, yes, it would have been right before fiscal 24.
Do you think those two are connected at all?
We don't know.
Do we have any kind of time frame as to the first of these actions, when there might be some real activity on it? I know you're gonna make all these requests, but do you get any indication as to when some officials might pick this up and actually do something about the request?
So you just heard the request for the first time now. We are planning to schedule meetings with all of the people that we talk to, if they'll sit down with us. And we hope that action will be taken swiftly. We hope that the Board of Education will place the top administrators on leave pending an investigation for the anomalies that we pointed out. They're big, they're huge, and they shouldn't be happening.
Is a strike on the table at this point?
So we haven't reached that point yet. We are still actively receiving offers for certified. We've been given a last, best, and final. It's actually the second one. We will be taking that to our members for consideration, but that's only for one group. We are not to that point yet with our other two groups. And so any kind of a work stoppage is a last resort.
Just to kind of walk you through the process. There's a bunch of legal hoops we have to jump through before we can strike. So we haven't even entered into mediation yet with the teachers group. We have to be in mediation. Then we have to fail in mediation. We have to then post last, best, and final offers. That's a posting process. That takes time. Then we have to take a strike vote. We have to give a 10-day notice on strike. So yes, strike is not off the table because that's the ultimate thing that we have is withholding our labor to get a contract. But we're nowhere near that process yet.
And it could be that one group could strike before the others then, right?
It could be. So what we have is 3 separate bargaining units. We have teachers in one contract and paraprofessionals. We have service workers in another, and we have secretaries in the third. We have just filed a petition with the Illinois Educational Labor Relations Board to combine all 3 units into one contract because these 3 units are united together. We have always considered ourselves one single group, and now we made it official, and we are going to be one single group.
That's like, hey, how soon could that be done?
The approval process depends on the board, the labor board in the state, and it could be done as quick as 30 days. It could take a little longer. We have a hearing set for March 12th, I believe, if the district is going to challenge the petition. So more to come on that. The labor board just sent notice to the district that we did it. We notified the district in bargaining. So we're happy that our members, we took a vote with the members, they signed a petition, and all 3 groups wanted to be one group, and they are united.
If the Medicare supplement payments were, would she have had Medicare, obviously, as someone over 65 and also had a employer-based insurance plan?
So, yes, Koki Unit School District does have an employer-based medical plan. She was not paying into that employer-based medical plan, and she was obviously old enough to pay into Medicare based on the statements. Those statements were mailed to her house. Those statements were for her to pay. Medicare is outside of anything the district does as it relates to paying for health insurance. So in our mind, unless there's an employment agreement, which there wasn't one provided, then those payments are illegal. It's an illegal use of public funds to pay those Medicare payments.
Would someone else in the district possibly have an arrangement like that? Is it possible?
So if it's an employment agreement, it could be possible. We've asked for any and all employment agreements in the initial FOIA. They didn't provide one. That tells me there is no employment agreement. We went back through years of board meeting minutes, and there was no approval of an employment agreement between Minnie Taylor and School District 187. So that is another indication that there isn't an employment agreement. If there's an employment agreement, all Superintendent McCall has to do is produce it. If it's there, we won't talk about it again.
So was that the only particular anomaly in terms of this Medicare, or were there any others for Medicare in that way?
So in terms of Medicare, it's the only one we know of. But he is not just going to give us documents that show everyone he's paying Medicare for. I don't know if he is or he isn't. Those are the specific documents we received from someone, a whistleblower inside the district. And that's the specific document we asked for. He said they don't exist by giving us a FOIA without those documents. I know they exist because I have them. That's right.
Why
Anybody?
speak up now?
Well, we have been getting, like I said in the onset, we have been getting tips all along throughout this process, right? As you go through this kind of process, we started a podcast to release some information. We've released a lot of information on our podcast. And as we've gone through this journey, employees inside the district are becoming very comfortable with being whistleblowers and giving us tips and information. And as we look at all of the information that's given, Wendy and I and her team decide what we think is credible to pursue. And that's what you see the 15 or 20 FOIAs that we've sent so far, is because we believe the information that we received from people inside the district, that information is credible, and we're trying to follow up on it.
Have any formal complaints been made at the state level about the issues with those, you had mentioned like the 4 employees, including Minnie Taylor?
So this is really the first time that we've publicly said it. We brought it to our employer first in bargaining. We talked about it. We then brought it to the school board this week, and now we're bringing it here. And so that's our next step.
And the school board to the school board this week at Monday's meeting, or are you talking?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I think that you got cut off. So
Yeah.
okay, well, the 5-minute limit,
Yes.
whatever
Right.
you want.
Yes.
But so I mean, did you guys ever talk to them about the 3 others? I guess is my question.
So we initially, in bargaining a week ago before the board meeting, we sat in that room back there and we asked them questions on the FOIA. We asked them, why don't we have any other records? Why don't you have the Medicare? And as you heard me in the press conference say, the only thing the superintendent said was, I wasn't giving them, I wasn't giving them, I wasn't giving them. So to me, that means either he doesn't want to give them to me, which is illegal, or he's relying on somebody else to look for those records. And all I can do as the recipient of the FOIA is if he doesn't give me the records, I have to assume they don't exist. That's how FOIA works.
Forgive me if I missed it, but is there another bargaining session scheduled at this point?
So we asked for another bargaining session. We've been working in a cycle where we bargain 3 dates with one of our groups, and then we bargain 3 dates with the next group. It was time to schedule for our secretaries, and they said they didn't want to set any dates at this time.
The next step in the process, so we've received the last best and final from the district. We gave them a counter to their last best and final for the teachers. And then we received the second last best and final. And then the first last best and final, the teacher group voted that contract down. 100% voted no on that contract. There wasn't a single yes vote. So our intention is now to take the second last best and final to our membership to vote on. And it'll be up to them whether they approve or vote it down. But we've demanded that the secretary group be next. They have had the least amount of bargaining sessions compared to the other 2 groups, and they're next in the chain. Anything else?
What are the sticking points at this point?
Well, so the district still has a lot of takeaways on the table. They basically want to rewrite the contract. Our initial proposal, we only asked for 7 or 8 different things. And we received in their initial proposal back in June, a red line contract that basically took almost every right away from my members in all 3 groups. There's still, I don't know, when I looked last time off the top of my head, probably 15 or 16 items that they're trying to take away still. And they're big items. They're things like favored nations, which should keep McCall from giving a raise to someone like Harvey at 208%, right? Because then we can file a grievance. Things like seniority, things like bidding rights, things like changing retirement incentive, things like not offering any increase in health insurance, things like progressive discipline, taking progressive discipline away and decreasing it. Things like
A lot of job description changes for our non-certified employees, so they would be expected to do a lot more, taking away emergency days. So when weather's really bad, all 12-month people would be expected to come to work. There's some days that we normally get paid for. If we're 12-month employees in our district, they want to take those away. They're changing how our department chair language works, and it's not an advantage. It's a big loss.
So, and we're probably going to do another podcast on the second last best and final at some point. So if you tune into that, you will get to see all the information.
We also
Shameless plug right there.
And just to be clear, all the things that we kind of wanted, but that I was talking about, none of those have even been discussed. So we had really hoped that we could sort of stop some of the professionals leaving our district by making things better. But instead of that, taking away what we already have is hardly going to attract people if we're already having that problem. And so that's a big concern. And even though there has been financial offers made for one group, we have concerns as well. There's nothing on insurance.
Questions? Who is Stephanie Belt married to?
She's married to Chris Belt. He's a senator.
I have a question. So there's a House bill that we could vote on soon that makes it possible for staff members in the community to file formal complaints against administration. Is that something that could deter us from events that they're doing now?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the bill, but we can talk about it for sure. Yeah. Anything else from the press? Well, thank you for making time for us for our press conference. Yeah. If anyone in the press is interested, Wendy and I will make ourselves available for individual interviews if you're interested. If not, thank you.
Thank you so much.